Spiritual Warriors Astrology Podcast.
My spiritual essence is Walamu Mudada. And this podcast is provided for those who are seeking wisdom on their journey from darkness into the light.
Kee2 Star Constellations. In learning astrology, particularly the basics of astrology, it's very important that you are familiar with certain foundational pieces. So I'd like to share some of those foundational pieces with you right now. To begin, I want to talk about the planetary symbols. Now, these planetary symbols represent certain planets or asteroids, and they convey a matrix of information. Say, for instance, the first symbol that you see right there, the circle and the dot, represents the sun. Okay, so that's the symbol for the sun. And it carries a host of information as well. And we'll explain that further, as we get into the podcast. Next is the astrological signs. Now, the first astrological sign that you see there represents Aries. And again, that sign carries a host of information. Third, I'd like to move to the astrological chart. Now, this astrological chart, you will eventually be able to place the planet and the sign in the correct house. As you look at the astrological houses below, you'll see that the astrological houses cover a certain domain of life, a certain area of life. And there's key words that represent each one of those houses that you want to become familiar with. You may not memorize all of the keywords for a particular house, but there's maybe a few, or at least one, that you want to know. Say, for instance, if someone would say, well, what is the domain of the first house? For myself, I would say, okay, well, the first house deals with self. It deals with personality, you see. Then if that same question was asked about the second house, I would indicate values. Now, there's other things that second house cover, but for me, that key word would be values. We're going to the astrological patterns. The astrological patterns are certain patterns that you will see in a lot of charts. They are familiar, they are popular, they come up quite often. So these particular patterns provide an opportunity to do a quick reading on a chart without going into great detail. Say, for instance, that first pattern is a seesaw pattern. Okay, and you see that a cluster of patterns are in the upper hemisphere and a cluster of patterns are in the lower hemisphere. It can be the same thing with a cluster of planets to the eastern hemisphere and a cluster of planets to the western hemisphere. They're like a seesaw, okay? And that's how they're scattered through the chart. Now, right away, this indicates a person that has, say, like Libra tendencies, or may have a Libra-like personality where they're constantly trying to balance various aspects of their life, depending on what house those planets are in. So let's go to the astrological aspects. This is very important as well, because the astrological aspects indicate the form of communication that is going on between two planets. See, so when say, let's start with the conjunction. So conjunction means that the planets are basically, say, 0 to 5 degrees. I use a 5-degree orb, 0 to 5 degrees apart. So they're like next door neighbors, right? They're right next to each other. They're somewhat familiar. There's a lot of communication that goes on between them. And when you see a conjunction, you also are seeing the beginning of a journey. All right. Next one is the sextile, 60 degrees. Now, that means that two planets are about 60 degrees from each other. And that's, again, some flowing energy. When we go to the square, which is 90 degrees, now that's when an element of tension begins to come in. See, so when you say square, you could sort of visualize one person is in one position and the other person is around the corner at a 90-degree angle, and they might not be able to hear each other. So the communication could be interfered with. So in that instance with a square, you have to try to resolve the tension or find an equilibrium. The next symbol you see is a trine. Okay, a trine is, again, flowing and smooth energy. Now, the interesting thing, too, is that with a trine, particularly like identify with like. So if you've got a fire sign, a planet in one fire sign and a planet in another fire sign, then they will trine each other. And so basically what I'm saying is fire trines fire, water trines water, air trines air, and earth trines earth. You'll get a better understanding of that as we continue to move along and you continue to be present at the podcast. The other sign we have is an opposition. Now, opposition represents, say, a 180-degree angle. They're on the far end of the chart. Each planet is at its furthest distance from the other. So that also represents an area of tension. And say the communication might be interfered with in some way or the other. So again, it comes to the point of harmonizing that energy and bringing it to a balance so that the communication is not strained or that the tension is relieved. Now, as you look at this astrological wheel, you'll see that, let's look at the first house. You'll see in the first house, you have the planet symbol for Mars. And next to it is the astrological sign for Aries. Okay, so what that's basically saying is that the first house is the home for the planet Mars and is ruled by the sign Aries. Let's go down to the second house. When we get to the second house, you'll see the planetary symbol for Venus is inside the house, and next to that is the astrological sign for Taurus. So again, the planet Venus is associated with the second house, and the astrological sign Taurus is also associated with the second house. See, so if you, it's the same as you go on to the third house, fourth house, and so on, you'll see certain planets in the house of their domain, and you'll see signs right on the outside, astrological signs, that's the ruler of that house. Now, as I mentioned previously, you would like to learn, say, the at least one key word for the 12 houses. So the key word I mentioned before I would use for the first house is self. The key word for the second house I would use is values, even though you see other words there. Okay. Key word for the third house, there's several words there. Communication is one that I would use, or short trips. For the fourth house, a key word I would use is home. But you see there's a variety of key words that you can use. So whichever one appeals to you the most, that's the one you can focus on. And eventually you'll learn more than just one. Okay, I'd like to talk about the nodes. They're very important. Now, the lunar nodes are, there's the lunar south node and the lunar north node. Now, these are not planets. These are points on the chart. In other words, they're where the sun and the moon intersect. At the point where the orbit of the sun and the orbit of the moon intersect, that's the critical point of the nodes, a sensitive point. Okay, so you have the lunar south node and you have the lunar north node. So let's take a look at that. This is the symbol for the, and I'm saying natal, the birth chart, south node. The south node represents energy from your previous lifetime. It relates to what you have experienced or have experience in. These are things that you may have mastered or feel comfortable with or doing. It can include relationships. Say, for instance, if you see someone and you have that feeling that, well, seem like I may know you or I may have met you before. Maybe that may be so in a previous life. See, so maybe that may be the case in a previous life. Or there might be something that you can naturally do where other people find it difficult to do, but you just naturally do it. I think I mentioned before where you may be, let's go into art. You may be able to draw three-dimensional figures real well, you know, or you may be a good drawer. And your friend, they're still dealing with stick figures. Now, when you went to school, you went to the same art class, you learned the same techniques, you see, but when you came into that class, it was something about that class, or it was something about drawing or doing artwork that attracted you, and you just know how to. And so your friend might say, well, look, I'm doing stick figures. How do you do that? And you might say, well, I don't know. I just can do it. See, so that's in a sense a reflection of what I'm saying when I'm talking about the natal south node. Now we take a look at the natal north node. The natal north node represents your present and future. This is the direction that you should be moving towards. However, the choice is yours. The result of your choice is what create your karma for the next lifetime. So when we're talking about the north node, we're talking about where you should be going in this lifetime. See, so maybe in a previous lifetime, you was an artist or a painter or something like that, and you just have a knack for that. But in this lifetime, your mission, your challenge, your responsibility is to be, say, an engineer. See, so now you're learning the craft of becoming an engineer. Now, you may be more comfortable in that area or that field of art, but you have to come out your comfort zone. And that's what the North Node sort of demands, that you step outside your comfort zone and take on your new mission, your new challenge. So we're going to take a look at a chart of a celebrity. And as we're looking at that chart, we're going to cover some of the basic things that I talked about right then. Feel free to put in a comment or information about or what you see or what you sense or what you feel. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to interpret charts. Matter of fact, I'll bring the chart up while I'm talking about that. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to interpret charts. This is the chart that we're going to take a look at. Now, some people do it intuitively. In other words, when they look at the chart, they begin to feel the energy of the chart and gravitate toward that and let that speak to them. Okay. Other people may do it intellectually or structurally. So there's no right or wrong way to do it. Whatever style fits you is the style that's appropriate for you. That's just like in a school setting. Some students are visual learners. So when you're teaching them, you have to show them a picture of something. They have to see what you're talking about to understand where you're coming from. Some students are auditory learners. They have to hear it. So the class needs to be quiet so they can focus in on exactly what you're saying. Some students are kinesthetic learners. They got to get up and move around. They got to put their hands on it. They got to, move with it. You see? So the same thing in interpreting a chart. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You just go with, your style. And that's good enough. Okay, so in the process of, going through the chart, I have Sister Nubia. She's here with me, and she's going to help in that regard. Before Sister Nubia comes in and assists, then I want to go around, the signs for each one of those houses to familiarize you with that if you're not already familiar. Okay, so we're starting in the first house. On the symbol there is Aries. It's in red. Okay, it's on the outside of the chart in a sense, or the outer part of the wheel. That's Aries. Okay, the next below Aries, we're going to the second house. That's Taurus. That's the astrological sign for Taurus. Below that, the astrological sign for Gemini. Next to that is the astrological sign, fourth house for Cancer. Now, our last podcast, Brother Man and Sister Love was with me to help us go through this. Okay, so today it will be Sister Nubia. All right. The fifth house, in red, you see the astrological sign for Leo. Then we're going to the sixth house, and that's Virgo. Going to the green astrological sign you see, that's Libra. And above that is Scorpio. And next to that is the arrow is Sagittarius. Next to Sagittarius is Capricorn. That's the astrological sign for Capricorn. Then coming on down, that look like a wave or electric volt, that is Aquarius. And we come finally to Pisces. All right. So we're going to begin to take a look at the planet that's in that house and see what that's telling us. So let's see if Sister Nubia is with me today. All right, Sister Nubia, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So Sister Nubia is here. She's ready. I hope you're ready too. Now remember, you can leave a comment in the comment so that you can add to our conversation because this is interactive. Okay. So let's go to that first house, Sister Nubia. What is the sign and what is the planet in that first house?
So the first house is Aries, and the planet is Jupiter.
Okay, so what do that tell you when you see the planet Jupiter in the first house with Aries?
You said the first house deals with self, and then with Jupiter in the house, it's making me think someone can have like a larger personality with Jupiter in the first house.
Okay, anybody else that would like to comment, please put a comment, in so that I can share your comment as well. All right, so we're going to the second house, that's Taurus house, and there isn't a planet there. I'll go down to the third house, Gemini, there's not a planet there. Now, when we go to the fourth house, you see a symbol there, but it's not a symbol of a planet. Okay, and we talked about that a little earlier. First of all, the fourth house is the house for Cancer, and that symbol is the North Node. Now, that portrays some information right there, okay, with the North Node in the fourth house. Now, one of the things that tell me, and anybody can comment on this as well, one of the things that tell me that that direction that this person is going in this lifetime, their mission in this lifetime has something to do. Now, knowing that the fourth house deals with home, also deals with ancestors. This is where those key words come in to help you in your interpretation. It deals with home. It deals with ancestors. You see? So there's something that I would say that has some type of ancestral connection there. So that person needs to move in that direction. Now, I've got yes, a couple of comments. Oh, it's the North Node. Yes, so Sister Nubia is saying that's symbol that you see in the fourth house is the North Node. And it's in the fourth house. So someone was asking, well, what house is it in? Okay, so that North Node symbol is in the fourth house. Okay, thank you for the comment. All right, so I want to move to the fifth house. Okay, the fifth house. All right, there's not a planet there in the fifth house, but the sign for the fifth house is Leo. Okay, so we looked at the North Node in the fourth house. That's that North Node symbol. And as I was saying, that indicates to me that the person has something to, their foundation is going to be very important for them in this lifetime because home also represents your foundation. So their foundation is going to be very important for them in this lifetime. So they need to have a solid foundation. And they will be building a solid foundation in this lifetime to do their ancestral work, or maybe to do their spiritual work, or they may be the ones that's laying the foundation for their family. You see, they may be taking their family to another level of foundation. See, many times people refer to generational wealth. All right. See, so a certain foundation of wealth may have been laid for the family, and this person may be bringing it to another level, bringing it to another level. All right. So when we go to the fifth house, we see Leo there in the fifth house. There's not a planet there, but there's something going on in the next house. So, Sister Nubia, could you talk to us about what you see?
Yes, so the sixth is Virgo, and I see two planets there. That's Uranus and Pluto in the sixth house.
Okay,
And
so
so,
what does that tell you?
well, so with Uranus, usually things with Uranus, you want to cross your I's, dot your T's, kind of tighten up. And then Pluto kind of represents more transformation. So it could be transformation in the life around daily routine or making a more structured morning routine. That's kind of the vibe of the sixth house.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, looking at the seventh house, that's Libra. That's the astrological sign for Libra. So Libra is there in the seventh house. So we'll go to the next house. And Sister Nubia, what planet do you see there? Tell us about that next house.
Yeah, in the eighth house, that's the house of Scorpio, and I see Neptune in the house of Scorpio. And so with Neptune in that house, I see signs of some sort of spiritual transformation that could be
Okay,
happening.
okay, thank you. Going to the ninth house, that's Sagittarius. That's the house of Sagittarius. I believe I have a Sagittarian with me, and I'm a Sagittarian as well. See, so if any Sagittarius is in there, feel free to comment on that ninth house. Okay. Now I have someone that's commenting that my process starts with the ruler of ascendants, which is Mars, the ruler of the chart. Mars is day to day or daily routines, appearances, daily affairs. Okay, all right. So yeah, so feel free if you want to just comment, put it in the chat and I'll read it. So if so, this individual was talking about Mars. Someone else is talking about they're a Scorpion and the eighth house is theirs. Okay. Yeah, so feel free to put in any comment that you would like. All right. So we did Sagittarius being the ninth house. Let's go to the next house. Sister Nubia, could you tell us what planet you see there?
Yeah, so the 10th house is Capricorn's
Yes.
house, and I'm seeing two planets there. I see Mercury and the Sun. And so with this, Capricorn usually is about authority and leadership, and Mercury usually revolves around communication. So it could be stepping into a leadership role or taking on a more leadership role where you have to communicate or manage people or talk more to people, give a speech. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Okay, and I want to add to that is that anybody else can feel free to add to it as well. There's the South Node in that 10th house. So that also says that this person has been in a position, just like Sister Nubia said, has been in a position of leadership, of authority before in a previous life. So being in a position of leadership and authority in a previous life, that would come easy. They would have a knack for it in this life. Okay. Oh, okay. And then had a comment to say, is the celebrity spiritually inclined? Mm, yes. That goes back to what Sister Nubia was saying about Neptune being in the eighth house. See? Very interesting. Now, at the end of this, I'm going to let you know who that celebrity is, and then you can decide for yourself. Yeah. But that's very good comment. Thank you very much. All right, now I'm going to the 11th house. Now in the 11th house, that's the house of Aquarius in this particular chart. And in this chart, Mars, that circle with an arrow, is in Aquarius. Okay, so with Mars being in Aquarius, that indicates that this person is action oriented. That Aquarius, first of all, deals with, or the 11th house as well, deals with humanitarian causes. So this person may be have somewhat of a revolutionary spirit toward humanitarian causes, or be a progressive thinker, or not so much a thinker because that would be Mercury, but would take progressive action. That's Mars, and I think one of the comments was about Mars earlier. Would take some progressive action toward a humanitarian cause. Moving further down, we have Saturn. But see, Saturn seems to be in, look like it's in Pisces. And I'll double check that as I go. Matter of fact, let's see. Yeah, look like it may be in Pisces because of the change. And if you look at the chart, you'll see Pisces is blue. Okay. And then you see that Saturn is in that area of blue. See, so I'm going to double check to make sure that that's it, because it might also be in Aquarius, but I'm going to double check to see. Yes, it's still in Aquarius. Saturn is 22 degrees Aquarius. See, so I have to check some other sources, but it looks like it's in Pisces, but it's just about to go into Pisces. Now, Saturn, the planet of Saturn represents basically authority. Sometimes it's the father. Okay, someone said it looks like Aquarius to me at the border of the house. Okay. And so a lot of times you'll see something like that. A lot of times you'll see something like that, and you might have to check a little more on detail. But a lot of times you'll see something like that, okay? But you may have to check a little more on detail just to be precise. Okay, continuing on. Let's see. The next thing I want to take a look at is the moon. Okay, I'm double checking that for some additional information, because here it says that this moon is 24 degrees Aquarius. So I'll just go with that, even though it looked like it's moving into Pisces house. So let's say that the moon is 24 degrees Aquarius. Well, then what that's saying, with a moon 24 degrees Aquarius in the 11th house, then it's saying that the person enjoys working toward humanitarian causes. So with Mars taking humanitarian action, then the person enjoys the things that they're doing. Okay, so they enjoy doing it. They don't have no conflict between what they're doing and how they're feeling. We'll go to Venus. Now we have Venus a little below the moon in green, and Venus has entered Pisces. It's 46 seconds into Pisces. That's Venus. All right. So with Venus into Pisces, so they will find a person with their Venus in Pisces would find, say, beauty in the dream world. So they would need a certain amount of peace or tranquility in their life. See, because the when you're dealing with Pisces in the 12th house, you're dealing with a certain, say, veil. Some people would say a certain illusion. It's like a foggy day. You know that something is there, but you can't see it clearly until you may get closer. See, so with Venus in the 12th house, then that's indicating, you know, a certain amount of tranquility that you would need in your life. All right. Now, before we go any further, before I reveal whose chart this is, put in any guess that you might have about whose chart this might be. Okay. I've got Denzel Washington. Okay. Come on. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anybody else? So since we're in the 12th house, what we'll do is go to a brief relaxation and meditation. And right after that, I'll let you know before we close for the day, because we're at, you know, the closing or ending. I'll let you know whose chart that is. And I'll give anybody else another chance to put put something in the comment of whose chart they think this is.
Assume the position. It may be with your feet flat on the floor and your spine erect. It may be in a yoga position. Whatever position you assume, your spine is erect. Now gently close your eyes, for you are going on an inner journey. And this inner journey begins with the breath. So as you inhale, earth energy comes up through the center of your feet, through the center of your body, to the top of your head. And on exhalation, it showers out the top of your head like a fountain, returning to the earth. Again, on inhalation, earth energy comes up through the center of your feet, through the center of your body to the top of your head. And on exhalation, this energy showers out the top of your head like a fountain.
Okay, well, I've got a comment. One person indicated that with that Jupiter in Aries in the first house, that was a clue for them that this person may be a comedian. Good point. And that this person involves themselves with a lot of laughter. So there's a lot of laughter in their personality. So you might often see the person smile or laugh, you see. Very good point. All right, so now before I give you the name of this individual celebrity, make sure that if you haven't done it, that you like and subscribe to this podcast. That way it will help reach out to other people as well who's on a similar journey. Okay, here we go. I hope you liked and subscribed, because just take a minute to push that button. Our celebrity, whose chart are you looking at right now? This celebrity is well known. This is the chart of, if I had my drums with me, I'd hit a drum roll. This is the chart of Michelle Obama. This is the chart of Michelle Obama. Now, next week, we'll do another celebrity. Next week, we'll do another celebrity. Somebody said they knew it. Somebody giving me a drum roll. Yes. Yes. Okay. And you'll be able to, but see, the thing about it is everybody was on target. Because, and what I mean by that is that often you see Michelle Obama laughing or smiling, you know, and when things come at her, heavy energy come at her, she seems to have the ability to turn it around and bring out the lighthearted part of it. See, so some of you picked that up. The same thing you see, that same attribute you see in Denzel Washington. And somebody said it was Denzel Washington, that same attribute. So you're doing a magnificent job. So let's see what you do, with our next celebrity, which you will see next Friday. Kee2 Star Constellations. Kee2 Star Constellations is a family affair. As a family or an individual, learn the ancient science of astronomy, astrology, numerology, and sacred geometry. The lessons are basic and engaging for all ages. They are insightful and empowering. Kee2 Star Constellations.